Hello, hello. Thank you for coming and checking me out. My name is Jennifer, and this is Jen the Bookworm. If you're a returner, I appreciate you very much, and if this is your first time, I hope you enjoy. So I'm going to do something a little different and hopefully quick. I want to do a reaction video to the book I was reading, The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. And I kind of wish that I had done this for some other videos. I just finished the book last night, and I had reactions. And I like to watch reaction videos. I've watched several reaction videos. People who, for whatever reason, haven't watched a movie, and so they watch it in front of the camera and react to it. Like there's three gentlemen who was doing Harry Potter, and they watched the whole series, and they had misconceptions about it and whatever. Or a guy who focuses on one genre of music who started to go to a different one. And I was thinking, reaction videos, they sound like fun, they look like fun, but I've already seen the movies, I've already, seen the videos of my favorite songs and stuff, so what am I going to react to? And then I thought, books, of course. I'm right now reading a lot of books that a lot of the community has already read, and so this is the perfect kind of reaction video thing that I can do. It is book reactions. And so I'm bringing you today a book reaction. I'm reading The Well of Ascension, which is the second book in the Mistborn Era 1 series by Brandon Sanderson. And I just finished it last night. And I wish I had done this last night when I was freshly, amazed. But I was amazed. This book was, first of all, this book was a little bit like the end of Lord of the Rings, when it felt like, oh, this is a natural place to end. Nope, this is a natural place to end. Nope, this is where they're going to end it, It just felt like there was lots of ending spots, and I looked down at my, how many hours I have left, and I still had like an hour and a half left, but it felt like it was ending, and then it felt like it ended again, and then, so that was kind of funny and interesting. I felt like I only had 4 hours left to read by the time I had started reading it yesterday, and it felt like a really long 4 hours because it just felt like there was a lot of ending spots, but also just wow. Okay, so the end, the whole, I don't know, people, I don't know, the whole premise of the story up to this point has been there's this big bad Lord Ruler, and he oppresses all the people, except, well, he oppresses the noblemen as well, but not quite as bad. He and the noblemen are oppressing all the regular people and what they call ska, and there are a couple of people who incite a rebellion, and they finally defeat the Lord Ruler, and he and like his death throes are like, I was the better, of the two. I was the lesser evil. I'm holding something back, and you're gonna regret this, kind of thing. And that was the first book. And then the second book, we find out he wasn't wrong. So I really loved the concept of the, well, let me not get ahead of myself. So Vin, the main character, she gets all the way to where she can become as powerful as the Lord Ruler was. And he was powered by the fact that he went to the Well of Ascension, and there was a power there that he was supposed to take and release. And he took it and didn't release it. And then he became all powerful, and power corrupts, and if you're that mighty powerful, then it corrupts you quite a lot. And so she went to the Well of Ascension. She got the power. And she decided, at great personal sacrifice to herself, because her husband was laying dying, and if she kept the power, she could heal him. But if she didn't keep the power, he was going to die. And there was just nothing that she could at that moment think of to do about that. And she decided, I'm going to be the good person. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to not steal it for my own use, because all the prophecies said that the magic needed to be released, that it would heal the world, that it would fight back the darkness, which they concluded up at this point that the darkness was the mist that comes in at nighttime and surrounds everything. It used to just be mist and kind of harmless. And the Scott were superstitious about it, but it was pretty harmless. And now throughout this book, the mists are coming sometimes in the daytime and killing people. And the mist is staying. It's not evaporating as soon as the sun comes out like it had been before. And it just seems like it's reacting differently. And so and it's called the darkness, and that's the big thing that the Lord Ruler had been going to defeat. Defeating the darkness, needing the power of the Well of Ascension. Need to get the power and release the power. And he got the power and he didn't release the power. So Ven got the power and she released the power. And at that moment, she found out that she released something bad onto the world. Not only did she release something bad onto the world, but then she couldn't save her husband. He was saved, but it was a whole thing. And I'm just like, I was really flabbergasted, I guess is the best word I could use for that, because what does that mean about the Lord Ruler? When he took the power unto himself, did he realize that if he let it go, well, he did realize, he had to have realized, because it's what he said when he died, is, nope, I was holding something worse back, or something worse than me. And I mean, we know he wasn't really a great guy because of the way he was treating this god. Like, he would mass execute people, and he was fine with the noblemen sleeping with their ska slaves as long as they killed them, because they didn't want the noblemen to pass along being a mistborn or being a mistling, which means having one of the ability to be a mistborn. If you don't know what a mistborn is, a mistborn is somebody who can burn different metals to do different things. Mistlings can burn a single metal usually, or do it on a smaller scale, and a mistborn can do all of it. So, and far more powerful. And so it's like, just don't breed a bunch of ska mistlings and mistborns and stuff like that. We're fine. Just kill them and be done with it. Now, obviously, he wasn't a great person, because he's all, kill this god and I don't care about this god. But did he start out that way? Was he always like that? Maybe not. I mean, because I don't think he was, because I don't know. It's so hard to tell, but when he took on the power, the guy who took the power specifically was trying to stop this thing from being released. But what I thought was super cool was that this thing had the ability to change not just the written word, not just things that had been copied from one thing to another, but the talisman who had prophecy in their metal mines and stuff like that, the thing was able to change that as well. It was so, I didn't expect it. It was so layered that and they were telling us, of course they were telling us while we were reading it, because at the end of every chapter there was a little piece from a rubbing that said, this is why I did what I did, or regarding the Lord Ruler and regarding the Well of Ascension, and so they kept playing this over and over again, and finally we come to find out that even though Sazed, the talisman who found the prophecy, wrote it down, he brought it to the city and was studying it. He was studying a changed prophecy, because the entity was changing it in order to manipulate people to let him go. That was brilliant. I didn't see that coming. I didn't see it coming. And then when it did happen, I was just, so if you don't know me, if you haven't been around for a while, I'm a writer as well as a reader. I'm not published, but I like to write. But this story was so multifaceted, so layered. So I have a hard time writing like the base story, much less here's the story, and then there's more story, and then there's a third thing here that makes this so much better. You think you're reading this, but actually you've got all these layers, and I'm just, part of me wanted to be like, I don't know if I'm good enough to be a writer, which is silly, I know, but, and obviously not what Brandon Sanderson would have intended in putting out something like this, but it made me doubt myself. It made me not want to, it made me think I never want to read another Brandon Sanderson book again. And also, he's still my favorite of all time at this point. I was starting to waver. I was starting to go to Joe Abercrombie, but I think I got to stick with Brandon Sanderson. He really is putting out some quality stuff, or has put out some quality stuff. And so I loved this book, but I was also cursing this book. By the time I got done with it, it was too late for me to start the next one. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to start the next book in the series. I'm going to get the trilogy done, and I'm going to figure out, now what do they do? They've let loose this thing. They don't even know anything about this thing, because this thing hasn't allowed itself to be known by prophecy as far as we know. They've been so focused on the Lord Ruler, and so focused on the hero of ages, which they thought was Vin. Some hero, she let loose the big bad thing. We thought the big bad thing was, in the beginning, was the Lord Ruler. And no, the big bad hadn't even been introduced yet. It was so good. If you, for some reason, decided to watch this video, even though I said spoiler, and you haven't read these, I highly recommend you go do so. I think I've given away some of this stuff, but I mean, mostly just showing you my enthusiasm for it. But I highly recommend it. And if you haven't read it for a while, maybe go back and reread it, because it's excellent so far. And I'm really looking forward to finishing up Mistborn Era 1. Thank you for coming and checking this out. I'm sorry it was a little scattered. I may do these reaction videos from time to time. I may decide they're too scattered and just do like a real review. But I wanted to put my thoughts out there while they're fresh, while I'm finished, just newly finished, and wanted to, record what I thought. So thank you for checking it out. If you've made it this far, I really do appreciate you. Why not give me a like? If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. It really helps out my channel. I'm really trying to get to 100 subscribers. And so if you could help me out with that, I'd appreciate it very much. So have yourself a great rest of your day.